Heyo, it's Puddles here, just making a post-session video on the game that I had a few days ago. So we had the Dava encounter session. I had a DM prep on it, just discussing the things that I thought were going to happen. In this video, I'm just going to go over what actually happened and my thoughts about maybe things I could improve, things that went well, stuff like that. So let's get into it. First, let's talk about what the players did, uh, my expectations, what I thought they were going to do, and what actually happened. So, first, the things that the players did that I sort of planned for and were expecting. Um, Insulting the hags. There was interaction between the hags and the characters. They were rude, being dicks, exactly as I was expecting them to be, and they offended the hags, which led to repercussions in the form of nightmares. That went exactly the way I was expecting. The players played their characters in the evil intent that I was expecting, so it went exactly how I was expecting. The group going to get aid from the orcs before heading to the order. I was prepared for that. It didn't exactly go the way I was planning in my uh, in the way I sort of dealt with it, but I'll go into that a bit later in the video. But both of those I were expecting, and they both sort of went the way that I wanted them to. Things that I wasn't really expecting. I didn't think that the Black Knight would die, and I didn't think that the group would try to reincarnate him. Uh, that was kind of cool. I sort of um, alluded that the Black Knight had prior deal with hags, um, and when the group tried to reincarnate him, I had a scene where his soul was essentially trapped inside a bag, and the hag that they've been dealing with was not willing to give his soul back. So I think that scene really played out well, but not something I was expecting. Another thing the players sort of surprised me with was sending the squire in to parlay with the orcs. Uh, yeah, that scene was sort of, from my end, I don't think I performed it as well as I should have. It sort of came out of the blue. I wasn't ready for it. It just threw me for a loop. But you learn from these things. Uh, the other thing, Granier using the storm that the Planetar created in the battle sort of didn't change anything, but it changed the way that she fought that fight, and it didn't really affect it, but it was something that I wasn't expecting at all. I didn't think that she would use call lightning the way that she did, and it was significant in the damage that it did. Yeah. In terms of the things that I thought went well in the session, the encounter was super fun. The preparation and changing up the different animals that the David turned into really worked. I think two of them didn't get to really use their abilities. The tiger didn't get to swallow, but you know that's just how combat goes. And the rock was sort of banished immediately, so it got one round of combat. But apart from that, the encounter went really well. I felt it was a lot easier than I was expecting. I thought I was gonna just roll. I was actually scared I was gonna kill all my players, but yeah, you cannot not rely on the CR at these high levels because they managed. It was a difficult fight, but they managed it a lot easier than I thought they would. Um, it was a lot of fun for me as a DM, and hopefully it was fun for my players. Yeah, that's all I can really say about that. I thought the storm build up before the fight, just narratively, really, at least from my end when I was doing it, the way it was moving to where the players were and like stopping in their path really felt like ominous and really set a dark scene before the encounter. That was the vibe that I was getting from it. That might not be what my players felt, but I really, for something that was just supposed to be like, oh, this creature has this ability, I may as well put a storm there, just for like because I can essentially. It really worked. I was really happy with how that played out. Um, the Granier introduction and the Hag interaction, that whole scene, it was exactly what I expected. The Hags were insulted. The players were evil and got to roleplay their their lack of respect for other creatures they consider weaker. Yeah, it was exactly what I was expecting and didn't played out exactly like I wanted it to. The nightmares I felt went really well as well. I had different nightmares prepared for each character if they failed the saves, and the ones that did fail, they got the good nightmares. And I think exhaustion, especially considering the next session, which I'll discuss in another video, its exhaustion is going to play a massive part because they're in a time limit. So resting is not necessarily a thing they can have the luxury of always doing. So I think that really went well. In terms of things that I think went a little bit poorly, the Planetar battle dialogue. So I like the idea of the people or the enemies having personality and character, and sometimes if you've only got one fight where either the players die or the thing they're fighting dies, it's hard to build that. So I tried to throw in a couple of dialogues here and there. Most of them were pretty cliched, and at least I felt awkward saying them, and it wasn't really natural. It didn't feel good, and I understand often with role playing it doesn't feel natural, but I don't think it worked very well. So I'm gonna have to think of something that I can do in the future, maybe to address that. The Squire Orc interaction. It was getting towards the end of the session. I often find at the end of longer sessions, my brain just doesn't work as quickly as it normally does. So that whole interaction just felt bad to me. I didn't think it was very interesting. I feel like I could have done so much more with it. But yeah, I wasn't prepared, and I don't think I improvised it very well. Something to work on in the future, obviously. And there was also like time constraints. I was trying to finish the session with the group just having gained the orcs as allies, and I was to like the detriment of the story, and the whole interaction was yeah, it wasn't that great. The orcs challenge with the fallen and the fight itself, again, same thing. It was towards the end of the session. There were time constraints. I was just trying to get it over and done with. I feel like it could have been much better in many aspects, and it wouldn't have taken much more effort to make it better. Maybe more of a build up to the actual fight. I could have maybe let the like the fight as the cliffhanger. So have as opposed to rushing through the fight and having it over with, I could have ended the session and have the fight at the start of the next session, and then that would have been a cool build-up cliffhanger kind of thing. But yeah, that's again new DM. I'm learning. Yeah, but in terms of the session itself, it was a lot of fun. Hope my players had a lot of fun. I think they did, and I'm excited for our next session. I'll record a video on my preparation for our next session, which will be our final session of the one shot. But yeah, I hope this has been illuminating, and you guys have learned a couple of things along with me. But yeah, thanks for that. I'll catch you next time.